Chris Doyle. He's a Middle East commentator. Chris, thank you for joining us. Firstly, what do you make of these arrest warrants for Netanyahu and Gallant?
This has been long overdue. I think the weight of evidence means that the ICC had no choice but to issue these arrest warrants. And I suppose the focus now goes to countries who are signatories of the Rome Statute, that they have to honour what the ICC has done. And that means that Prime Minister Netanyahu and former Defence Minister Gallant should not be able to travel to any of those countries if they do not wish to be arrested. But it's extremely important in terms of upholding international law, encountering war crimes and trying to bring them to an end. Because, of course, we're dealing here with a situation that the war crimes and the crimes against humanity that they've been charged with are continuing. They are ongoing. In fact, they are even worse than they were at the time of the arrest warrant, because these crimes only go up to May of this year. And, of course, we have seen the situation in Gaza get worse and worse. We saw only 6% of the pre-October the 7th level of aid getting into Gaza in October. We're seeing a situation of famine. So that deliberate policy of starvation, of depriving a civilian population of objects necessary for its survival, is actually worse.
Chris, do you think that this is going to change the way that Israel is acting militarily now at all? I mean, you've outlined there that right now, this very minute, the situation in Gaza is the worst that we've seen it since October 7th, from when this war started. And of course, the reaction coming from Israel, from Netanyahu, from other leaders, saying that these arrest warrants aren't justified, that they are anti-Semitic. Could that change the way they conduct this war, or possibly make it even worse?
I have no optimism that they're going to change the way they carry out their military campaigns in Gaza. The arrest warrants have been around for months. They know that the ICC has been looking at this. So whatever changes to their conduct has already taken place. And insofar as that has happened, it's more about trying to devise cover, not a meaningful change of the way they conduct their operations, to say that they have lawyers in the room when such targeting decisions are made. But that is not evidence that crimes are not being committed. And they're trying to find excuses and reasons to try to justify the unjustifiable. And I think this now sets a challenge to the major powers of the world. Are you going to stand by and do absolutely nothing, to continue to do nothing, and in some cases, like the United States, like Germany, like Britain, actually be complicit through the continued supply of weapons, of military and security assistance? Or are you going to end that? Now, we can be pretty sure that the United States is not going to change its approach. It's not a party to the Rome Statute that set up the International Criminal Court. But those European powers who still supply, sell weapons to the state of Israel, I think serious questions must be asked of them, not just if they're going to uphold these arrest warrants, but take further actions to make sure that they are in no way complicit in the war crimes, the crimes against humanity that are occurring.
I think that's a really important point that you bring up, Chris, because since this war started, the sales of arms to Israel hasn't stopped, obviously, from the US and from many of its allies. But as you've outlined there, some of those European countries may be questioning now if they actually have to pull back part of their support, maybe not outwardly, but in some way. And when we look at previous experiences, apartheid South Africa being one in question, the only way that that came to an end was sanctions, was boycotting, was really isolating the South African apartheid government from the rest of the world. And this may be the only way to actually force Israel's hand from international powers and international backers to make a constructive change, to bring about a ceasefire, to bring about some sort of two-state solution that could make the lives of Palestinians better.
Well, Israel has to realize that there is going to be a cost for what it's doing. That cost has certainly not been imposed upon it as yet, But it is now incumbent on major actors, those European states, to do exactly that. There should be a full ban on arms sales to the State of Israel. There should be no treatment of Israel as an ally. A country that commits war crimes and crimes against humanity is not one that those countries who proclaim to adhere to international law should be associated with. But it also means that the United States also has to feel isolated, because as yet we've seen from the Biden administration no sign is prepared to sanction Israel in any way, shape or form. And certainly with the incoming Trump administration on the horizon, there's no sign there also that they are prepared to hold Israel accountable. Well, if they're going to continue in that path, the rest of the world has to make clear that it's unacceptable and that they are not going to buy into that approach, and that the United States will lose standing internationally if it continues to act as a shield for Israeli crimes of such magnitude.
Very much about speaking truth to power here. Chris Doyle in London, always good to get your analysis. Appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you.